My name is Arthinox, and this is the Cloaked Mysteries channel. Here, we explore the limits of the unknown, the frontiers of science, and the projects that challenge everything we think we know about the world. Today, we're going to journey deep into the Earth itself, and discover just how far humanity can go when it decides to dig beyond the impossible. Human fascination with super-deep drilling has never been constant. It rises and falls in cycles, like a tide that advances and retreats over time. In certain historical moments, this curiosity explodes with overwhelming force. In others, it seems to lie dormant, waiting for new technologies and new motivations. But it always returns, driven by human ambition. This fascination is not limited to pure science alone. It involves power, strategy, economics, and even ideological conflict. Drilling deeper means accessing unique resources, data, and strategic advantages. It is literally about touching parts of the planet no human has ever seen, and that has always carried enormous symbolic value. This is exactly what happened during the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union turned science into a battlefield. Every technological advance was a political victory. Every broken record represented global supremacy. Drilling deeper than the rival became a strategic objective. The investments were colossal, virtually unlimited. Entire budgets were redirected toward extreme underground projects. The goal was not only scientific, but psychological, to show the world who truly controlled the technology of the future. And it was within this context that the deepest wells in history were born. In 1989, the Soviets achieved a historic milestone. The Kola superdeep borehole reached a depth of 12,262 meters. To this day, that record remains unbeaten. No other drilling project has ever gone beyond it. Even with all the modern technology available today, the United States came close with the Berta Rogers well. It reached approximately 9.5 kilometers between 1972 and 1974. But the project was ultimately halted due to extreme underground conditions. Since then, the question has remained unanswered. Are we now capable of surpassing that limit? For decades, it seemed that this race was over. Projects were abandoned, and interest faded. But recently, something has changed once again. We are entering a new era of deep drilling, and the main players have changed as well. Today, the United States still leads this field, but second place no longer belongs to Russia. That position has now been taken by China. With massive investments and a long-term strategic vision, China has stepped directly into this scientific territory. In February of 2025, China completed an impressive achievement. The scientific well Shendetek-1 reached a depth of 10,910 meters. It was drilled in the Taklamakan Desert. This is the deepest point ever reached by the country, and one of the deepest in modern history. This achievement reignited an old question. Can we finally surpass the Soviet record? Today's technology is far more advanced. Materials are stronger. Control systems are infinitely more precise. However, the challenge is not purely technical. Beyond 10 kilometers in depth, everything changes. Rock temperatures exceed 200 degrees Celsius. In the Kola borehole, they reached around 220 degrees. And that is only the beginning. Under these conditions, rock no longer behaves like a normal solid. It becomes almost plastic, slowly flowing under pressure. Pressures reach thousands of atmospheres. Drill bits wear down at an accelerated rate, and the risks increase exponentially. This is exactly what brought the Berta Rogers well to an end. An unexpected layer of liquid sulfur was encountered. It completely engulfed the drill bit, making further drilling impossible. Perhaps this was a sign that we need to think differently. For decades, the solution seemed simple. Build stronger machines, harder drill bits, more advanced materials. But maybe that way of thinking is flawed. There is a physical limit to any mechanical component. Extreme heat causes deformation. Pressure destroys structures. Friction leads to inevitable wear. And deep inside the Earth, all of this happens at once. That is why some scientists argue for a complete break from tradition. Instead of improving old tools, They propose creating entirely new methods, technologies that do not rely on physical contact, and that bypass traditional limitations altogether. This line of thinking led to the resurgence of a bold idea: drilling without conventional drill bits, without direct contact with rock, using pure energy as a tool. And that is how laser drilling returned to the conversation. The idea itself is not new. It originally emerged from military applications. Experiments conducted in the 1990s produced impressive results. Lasers were able to penetrate rock far more quickly, in some cases up to 100 times faster than traditional drilling methods. The principle is simple, yet powerful. A focused beam of energy instantly heats the rock. It melts or vaporizes before physical contact occurs, eliminating mechanical wear and reducing structural failures. Companies like Petra began applying this concept. They developed specialized drilling robots, capable of operating in extreme environments, with no moving parts prone to breakage. But not everything is good news. Despite its enormous potential, reality is more complex. In practice, today's lasers still face serious limitations. The biggest one is range. Currently, laser drilling can advance only about 30 centimeters. Yes, centimeters, not meters. This limitation has several causes. One is the interaction between the beam and rock fragments. Short wavelengths lose efficiency rapidly. Another issue is available power. Lasers strong enough for deep drilling are still rare and expensive. On top of that, energy consumption is massive. Keeping such a laser running continuously is extremely costly. Cooling the system is also a major challenge, and any failure can compromise the entire operation. That's why this technology is still in its early stages. Even so, it opened critical doors. It proved that contact-free drilling is possible, that the concept works. But perhaps lasers are not the ultimate solution. Perhaps something even more powerful exists. And this is where a forgotten technology returns. An invention created decades ago, ignored for a long time, yet capable of changing everything. We're talking about the gyrotron. The gyrotron was developed in the Soviet Union in the 1960s. It emits energy in the form of millimeter waves. These waves sit between microwaves and visible light. They possess unique properties and extraordinary energetic potential. Since the 1970s, gyrotrons have been used in fusion reactors. They heat plasma to absurd temperatures, reaching over 150 million degrees Celsius. And most surprisingly, this technology never stopped evolving. It simply faded from public attention. Recently, the gyrotron has been adapted for deep drilling. Companies like Quaise Energy recognized its potential. Millimeter waves interact more effectively with rock. They penetrate deeper and transfer energy with remarkable efficiency. Studies suggest their effect can be up to 1,000 times greater than lasers. With this technology, narrow wells can be drilled rapidly, advancing up to 70 meters per hour, something unthinkable with traditional methods, and all without mechanical wear. The estimate is bold. With sufficiently powerful gyrotrons, it may be possible to reach depths of 20 kilometers, relatively quickly, and at far lower costs than ever before. At that depth, temperatures reach around 500 degrees Celsius. This is precisely where geothermal energy becomes economically viable. And that leads us to the next step in this revolution: harnessing energy from deep within the planet, a source that is practically inexhaustible. Few people realize it, but we are sitting on an ocean of energy. Earth's core reaches temperatures above 5,000 degrees Celsius. Even a tiny fraction of that energy would be enough to power civilization for millions of years. The problem has always been access. To this day, existing wells do not reach ideal temperatures. Not even the Kola borehole was sufficient. Conventional geothermal plants operate at lower limits. But that changes completely at extreme depths, especially when supercritical water comes into play. Above 374 degrees Celsius and under immense pressure, water enters a unique state. It is neither liquid nor gas. but something in between extremely energetic, capable of carrying up to 10 times more energy. At 20 kilometers deep, pressure becomes colossal, more than 25 times greater than at water's critical point. This creates ideal conditions for power generation, comparable to or even exceeding fossil fuels. But without polluting emissions, this kind of energy could completely transform the world. Energy independence for every nation. No reliance on imports. No conflicts over resources. No severe climate impact. What's even more remarkable is that Earth's crust is similar worldwide. This means almost any country could exploit this source. All it takes is technology and investment. Each nation could generate its own power, directly from beneath its territory. But every revolution carries risks. And super deep drilling is no exception. Before celebrating, we must understand the dangers involved. Because interfering with Earth's interior is anything but trivial. And this brings us to the next issue. The scientific community is watching these developments with caution. Drilling between 10 and 20 kilometers is no small feat. There are real seismic risks, especially in unstable regions. And this has sparked intense debate. One major concern is the activation of geological faults. Changes in underground pressure can trigger earthquakes. Even small shifts can have serious consequences. There is also the risk of releasing dangerous gases, such as methane or hydrogen sulfide. There is also the possibility of encountering magma, or superheated fluids under extreme pressure. In extreme scenarios, this could even create artificial volcanoes. Although these risks are considered rare, they cannot be ignored. Real-world examples already exist. In 2006, a geothermal project in Switzerland was shut down, after triggering a series of small earthquakes, the strongest reaching magnitude 3.4. A similar situation occurred in Oklahoma. In that case, wastewater injection into deep wells triggered a significant seismic sequence, including a magnitude 5.8 earthquake. This raised global alarms and proved that the risks are real. Some experts also raise military concerns. Deep wells could be used for strategic purposes, hidden nuclear tests, secret underground facilities, or even as geopolitical weapons. Even so, abandoning this technology would be a mistake. In geologically stable regions, the risks are minimal, and so far, no seismic activity has been recorded in such areas. With proper oversight, the potential outweighs the dangers. All signs point to the beginning of a new era. Super deep drilling has moved beyond theory and entered the practical phase. Real-world tests are already underway, and the results are promising. In 2025, Quaise Energy conducted tests in Houston, using 100 kilowatt gyrotrons. They successfully drilled through granite, creating wells up to 12 meters deep, and shortly after, they reached 100 meters. The next step is ambitious: 1 megawatt gyrotrons, capable of advancing kilometers. The company's vision is clear: to convert old coal power plants into geothermal facilities. This would reduce costs, reuse existing infrastructure, and accelerate the energy transition, without building new grids or making massive operational changes. If this plan succeeds, the world could access a clean, constant, inexhaustible energy source, independent of sunlight or wind, available 24 hours a day, directly from within the Earth. Perhaps humanity's greatest resource is not in space, nor on distant planets, but right beneath our feet, waiting to be reached. The story of super deep drilling is the story of humanity itself. Our curiosity, our ambition, our desire to push beyond limits. Even when the risks are enormous, we are now faced with a choice: ignore this potential out of fear, or move forward with responsibility and science, learning from past mistakes, and building a sustainable future. If you've made it this far, leave a comment below. What do you think about this technology? Do you believe the energy of the future lies deep within the Earth? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this content made you think, subscribe to Cloaked Mysteries, activate the notification bell, and keep exploring the unknown with me. I'll see you in the next video.